Okay, hello and welcome everyone to today's event on the next generation of EDI for Dynamics GP. I'm Jason Gumpert from msdynamicsworld.com, and joining us for today's event are Mike Gross and Steve Norris of TrueCommerce. As we get started today, please know that we do welcome your feedback and questions. You can use the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the main presentation window to ask your questions at any time during today's event. Mike and Steve will be saving time at the end to answer all of your questions. And without further delay, please allow me to welcome Mike Gross to start things off.
Everyone, this is Mike Gross. I'm the VP of Product Strategy for TrueCommerce, and joining me today from TrueCommerce is Steve Norris, and Steve is our Director of Dynamics Solution Architecture. So just a little bit about myself. My role here at TrueCommerce, I'm focused on helping shape and guide the direction of our commerce network platform globally. And also I focus on helping connect our community of Highjump supply chain customers with their value chain by leveraging our TrueCommerce network. Both Steve and myself, we've been in the Dynamics community for quite some time, certainly over a decade now. And we've worked with a handful of different supply chain solution providers, and I've had the great fortune of getting to work with and know many different Dynamics users and VARs, and spent a lot of time working with companies across different industries and at different phases in their growth and development. So a lot of experience working with the Dynamics community, and when we transition to Steve, he'll share some of his story as well. Okay. So before we get started, first and foremost, thanks everyone for joining us today, and also, thanks Jason and the team at Microsoft Dynamics World for hosting us today. We really appreciate it. And we at TrueCommerce, we've got a long history of serving Dynamics GP users, dating back all the way to the 90s before it was a Microsoft product, and there's been a lot of changes since those days, including also how we approach EDI and how we manage it for our customers. And today we're excited to share more about our next generation approach to managing EDI for Dynamics users and why we think that's important and valuable for the GP community. Okay, so let me just quickly orient the group here with our organization. So TrueCommerce is actually part of Highjump, and Highjump is a supply chain network solutions provider. And what does that really mean? Ultimately, we provide a full suite of supply chain execution solutions that are designed to help organizations really across the entire supply chain orchestrate the movement of their inventory. We help companies optimize their spend on freight and inventory. We help companies optimize their utilization of labor and equipment. And we also provide the necessary visibility to manage the results as your inventory moves throughout its life cycle, all the way from the production phase to the store shelf, or in many cases direct to the consumer. So categorically, our supply chain solutions include e-commerce and EDI, which is our TrueCommerce arm of Highjump, which we'll talk more about in just a moment. But our solutions also include transportation management, warehouse management, in-store fulfillment for retail companies that are fulfilling out of their stores, for in-store pickups and drop shipping from a store to a customer. Direct store delivery if you're a food and beverage company and you replenish directly in-store locations, supply chain analytics solutions, and several others. And ultimately our customers span from very large enterprise companies all the way down to small businesses that just got their first major contract with a larger retailer, someone like a Walmart or an Amazon, and they need to figure out how to connect and integrate with those trading partners and how they ultimately manage their fulfillment processes as well. Our customers, they also span the entire supply chain. So our customers are retailers and manufacturers, and distributors, they're logistics providers, transportation companies, and fundamentally we're divided kind of in two primary areas where we kind of specialize. And the first is TrueCommerce, our commerce network, and the second is our supply chain execution side. So TrueCommerce, ultimately we're helping our customers connect with their value chain as they have demand for goods and services. And on our supply chain execution side, really that's focusing on how to execute with fulfillment as they're fulfilling their products and services out to their value chain. So just a few quick highlights regarding TrueCommerce. We are a fast-growing organization. We serve over 10,000 customers today, and that's across 31 different countries. We have just under 400 individuals that are part of our TrueCommerce organization, and about 70% of those individuals are working directly with our customers in various roles in our services group. We're pre-connected and pre-integrated with just over 12,000 unique trading partners, and that's retailers, distributors, 3PLs, transportation providers, financial institutions, and so on. And that number of trading partners is growing very quickly. And we help manage 130,000 different unique trading relationships between our customers and our community of trading partners. And lastly, last year we processed just under 500 million transactions on behalf of our customers. Okay, so we thought we'd share a little bit about really what we're hearing in the Dynamics community from our customers, from the value-added resellers that we work with, from the other ISVs in the Dynamics community that we work with as well. And ultimately, the input that we get and the direction we hear from the community ultimately helps us shape the direction of our solutions and how we go about serving our customers. And I would say probably the most pervasive input we receive from the Dynamics community is really preference to leveraging a cloud-based technology solution approach and managed services providers. And this is certainly not isolated to EDI, but other critical areas of technology. But what we commonly hear from the community is really more of a preference to minimize the technical footprint they have to manage with in-house resources to give them more scalable, nimble technology approaches. But relative to EDI, we've definitely seen a shift in the preference to outsource to the more complex components of managing EDI. And what I really mean by that is managing unique trading partner maps and label formats and so on and so forth, but also managing the applications that allow you to connect directly with your trading partners, so like AS2 and FTP connections, and those components require a specific skill set, and that skill set is becoming more and more difficult to find, and quite frankly, we hear from our customers that managing in-house has become really less reliable for them, and leveraging a managed service provider that takes care of those components with critical mass resources is certainly more preferred. So as you've probably noticed, Microsoft has definitely accelerated their roadmap process to include major feature releases just about every 6 months. And obviously GP users want to take advantage of those new features. And some of the challenges that we hear is that the upgrade process is difficult, it's costly, and part of the reason is they have to drag along a number of integrated components that, quite frankly, just aren't compatible with that new release and may not be for several months. And what we're hearing more and more is that companies want a very simple upgrade path that requires minimal effort, minimal risk, and as we see more and more companies having their GP instance hosted, they need a solution that's compatible with their GP hosting provider's infrastructure as well. So, and next, with the emergence of omnichannel commerce, I think we've all witnessed a change in how we shop, how commerce is conducted in the retail world, and ultimately how we get our product to market across what is really new sales channels. And we hear a lot from the GP community about changes in their business to sell direct to consumers with their own e-store. We hear a lot about the need to figure out how to become a dropship vendor for retailers and e-tailers, which entails some new compliance requirements and new distribution requirements. And we also hear a lot about how to manage those new requirements to sync up information, both with their supply chain partners, like item attributes and inventory availability, things that wasn't asked of us, less than a decade ago. And then lastly, in today's digital age, we see more and more pressure to deliver real-time visibility, and that's to a much larger group of stakeholders. So the status of orders during their fulfillment lifecycle all the way to delivery, we're hearing more and more requests from the GP community to help them sync their data from a number of other key solutions like their WMS, their e-commerce platform, their shipping and fulfillment solutions, and other systems as that order traverses throughout its life cycle, and ultimately information from those systems need to be shared out with their supply chain community. Okay, so EDI is certainly not a new technology or a medium that's used to exchange documents with your business partners. It's been used for several decades, and actually, adoption of EDI and other electronic formats continues to expand across a number of industries. But what's really changed considerably is the approach to managing EDI requirements. And with the emergence of cloud-based technology, the complexity of managing EDI has shifted quite dramatically. And historically, you would have to install some middleware components potentially in your environment and manage the application yourself. And commonly, you even have to manage the trading partner maps and those connections as well. And with cloud technology, a new category of EDI providers emerged, and they offer a more scalable approach that shifts some of that complex requirements, if you will, to the managed service provider that allows you to rely on a network of critical mass resources that are knowledgeable in those areas, and they can manage those things for you versus you have to try to do it in-house. So when we at TrueCommerce think about what we do for our customers and how we categorize our business, we categorize TrueCommerce as a commerce network. And I thought I'd share a definition provided by IDC for a commerce network. And if you're not familiar with IDC, they're a market research and advisory firm that specializes in technology services. And I think they do a good job of summarizing it. And fundamentally, a commerce network, it's a community of organizations across the supply chain that are connected and integrated electronically. And the community consists of businesses, again, across the value chain, including retailers and manufacturers and distributors and logistics providers. And as there's demand for goods and services, demand pulses are sent across the commerce network in the form of electronic messages. So EDI, XML, and other electronic formats, orders, order acknowledgments, changes to my orders, and all those types of things are exchanged across that commerce network. As well as sharing information like cost, demand, inventory availability, procurement status, delivery status, and on and on and on. So really to kind of sum it up, commerce networks offer two key advantages. And the first is a commerce network really helps lower the barriers to trade business documents electronically. As the members on that network, they're already pre-connected, they're already pre-integrated with one another as a result of just being on the network. And this in and of itself really helps reduce the amount of time and cost that's spent trying to do business together. And secondarily, a commerce network, because it's easier to get started and get connected with your business partners, it helps increase collaboration amongst the organizations that are on the network within that value chain. And it helps that supply chain become more competitive, more agile, and it helps the supply chain become more efficient. So for our TrueCommerce customers, they fundamentally plug their business into our commerce network once with our connector with GP, which in turn provides them with immediate connectivity with their trading partners as they work with today. But also, as they grow, as they expand, they have limitless expansion to connect with new business partners, both domestically as well as globally. And the business partners that we connect our customers with include your traditional big box retailers, but also e-tailers and online marketplaces, so Costco's and Bluestems and Wayfair and Overstock, Amazon, Doolilly, and so on and so forth. But we also connect our customers with the suppliers that they source from, the freight forwarders that are providing status on inbound containers that are inbound, logistics providers that store and fulfill their orders domestically, and other types of business partners across their supply chain. So to break down our commerce network and the services that we provide our customers, I like to use this very simple diagram. And our commerce network consists of a number of cloud-based technology components, and the backbone of our network is an any-to-any data delivery and data transformation platform. And so working with a number of different businesses and trading partners, they all have different business processes, different tools they use internally, and different interpretations of the EDI standards. And I'll say, EDI does provide for some standardization, but we see a very wide, range or variation of different EDI formats and document types that are used. So our any-to-any network platform gives us the ability to accommodate for different EDI formats and unique standards, including global standards like EDIFACT. And we also support common data transport methods like AS2, FTP, secure FTP, interconnecting the other VANs, and so on and so forth. So again, any-to-any, regardless of format or transport method, we can support those different variations that we'll see across the industry. And another thing, at TrueCommerce, we hold a strong belief that delivering kind of think of it as a closed system, an end-to-end solution from one provider offers our customers more value. And we think that we can provide a more reliable solution because we can provide support for the entire solution versus having to rely on multiple components and providers. So we provide a turnkey integration with Dynamics GP, which helps automate the integration of over 25 unique EDI document types, which Steve will go into much more detail in just a moment. And as part of our commerce network, we also help connect retailers with their supplier community. We help connect the supplier organizations with their customers. And we connect our customers to all their sales channels. And I mentioned omni-channel as a significant disruptor in the market. As part of Highjump, we offer more of an omni-channel platform that helps connect our customers to all their sales channels while integrating all of them directly into Dynamics GP. So we have a simple but robust e-commerce platform that opens up B2C and B2B sales channels, and as we discussed, we can help connect our customers to big box retailers and online marketplaces, leveraging your traditional EDI and other electronic standards. And then lastly, we offer a suite of supply chain apps, and those assist with fulfillment side of execution, including managing your inventory and shipping orders with parcel carriers and LTL carriers. And our Highjump supply chain applications ultimately they're connected to our commerce network so that we can provide more of a platform solution as our customers grow and ultimately can help sync information that has to be delivered back to your supply chain through our commerce network. So a little background on our experience in the Dynamics community. As I mentioned, we have a long history in the Dynamics community. We have over 20 years experience working with the users, the VARs, and other ISVs in the community. Dynamics GP is actually our largest segment of customers in terms of revenue, and it's a significant amount of our ongoing investment from an R&D and a certification and a staffing perspective. We are a gold certified and Microsoft managed partner, and really as part of our ongoing commitment to our customers, we do work very closely with Microsoft to try to stay ahead of all the new releases that are coming out on the horizon and make sure that our customers' investment in Dynamics and ultimately our solution is preserved as they take advantage of those new releases. We're an active member of the user group community, the GPUG community, and we'll be at the GPUG Summit later this year in Tampa and hope to see you guys there. And because we've been in the Dynamics community for so long, we certainly have worked with a number of the leading ISVs in the community. We're pre-integrated with several of them. Some are more horizontal, some are more vertical focused, but a few examples, Binary Stream and Dynavistics and Rockton and Blue Moon and several others. And then lastly, we've got critical mass in terms of our customers, serving over 1,000 customers across our Highjump organization, both here in North America as well as in Europe as well. So just, a distinguishing point about TrueCommerce is that we offer a managed services approach for managing EDI requirements versus offering more of a software solution or a do-it-yourself toolkit. And what we found is that our customers more and more they don't want to really perform trading partner mapping. They don't want to manage AS2 and FTP connections of their trading partners. When an EDI map needs to be updated, which they do need to be updated on a fairly regular basis, or an AS2 certificate needs to be updated, or an FTP connection is down, the whole business can be ground to a halt, and orders aren't being fulfilled, and it can be a major impact on cash flow and your reputation. So as a managed services provider, we really manage all that on behalf of our customers, and delivering a managed service, from our perspective, requires really three key components, which I've outlined here in this Venn diagram. And, first, from a people perspective, from a resource perspective, we have critical mass of experts that understand EDI, but they're also experts with Dynamics GP. And our team includes project managers that are responsible for managing an implementation and new trading partner onboarding, GP integration specialists that are certified on the Dynamics GP platform and help guide our customers through an implementation, dexterity developers that extend our GP integration for new features, but also to extend our integration for new versions of GP. Our mappers, they work with our trading partner community. They know them, they know their requirements, they update the maps, they update GS1 labels and formats, and so on and so forth. They take care of all that compliance side. And then lastly, our managed service desks that are there to help you with questions and issues that are certainly going to happen invariably. And then from a technology perspective, we do leverage Tier 3 data centers to host our core technology, and really a key foundation for our managed service that we provide, which really enables us to provide high availability service, is providing or leveraging a number of different tools that help us monitor activity across our network and being able to proactively address issues without our customers really ever even find out about an issue. We just take care of that on behalf of our customers so they don't have to get involved. And what we found is that we can do it far more effectively at critical mass than really can be done effectively when you're trying to manage it yourself. And then from a process perspective, we've established methodologies and best practices so that we can consistently deliver for our customers a reliable service, and our customers don't have to worry about, are their transactions being processed, are they being delivered. So our processes include implementation methodologies, change management. As trading partners make changes, we make those changes and then roll them out once versus individually for every single one of our customers. And then how do we manage issues and how we manage platform maintenance and so on and so forth. So to quickly highlight the components of our TrueCommerce solution for GP users, the components really consist of fundamentally two different layers. And the first is our commerce network, which is cloud-based and it's managed by our team. And that's what you see on the right here. And this is the layer where we manage connectivity with business partners. We manage the trading partner mappings and label formats and pack slip reports. And we do that at a hub level. And that way we're managing it once, and all of our customers that are suppliers for a retailer in that case are immediately in compliance with that trading partner. So we can do it more cost effectively in a more scalable way. And as the trading partner initiates a change, we go through, again, a change management process to roll it out to make sure it's done effectively for our customers and there's no impact to them. But this is the layer also where we provide full visibility to the status of transactions, and Steve will walk through it in a moment. But ultimately, as transactions flow throughout their life cycle, you have full visibility, but also the ability to set up alerts for events that do happen. So I received an error, or I didn't receive a document, or excuse me, I received a new document that hasn't been processed. But you can also set up alerts for things that don't happen, like not getting an acknowledgement receipt back from a trading partner. Why didn't they get my invoice? Things like that, so you can proactively manage things before they become disruptions or cash flow issues. The second layer, which again Steve will cover this in more detail in just a moment, is the integration side of GP. And our GP integration connects into your GP environment, and it integrates the various messages that are exchanged with your partners, so orders and invoices and ASNs and order acknowledgments and so on and so forth. And this is added as a new module within your GP deployment. And ultimately, your users within GP can manage business rules and documents directly within GP versus having to, go outside of the application. So the GP module doesn't actually customize GP. It actually extends GP with new capabilities to, in my terms, kind of wire GP for EDI document exchanges with your business partners. And again, Steve will cover this off in much more depth in just a moment. So, depending on the characteristics of your products, how you go to market, who do you sell to, and so on and so forth, you probably have to support a variety of different distribution models. So we've certainly seen this with the emergence of omnichannel commerce, where there's a lot more drop shipping and just new pressures, new requirements that you have to deal with. So rather than a one-size-fits-all approach where we force EDI message into GP one way, TrueCommerce offers more flexibility to support unique distribution models within Dynamics GP, and certainly for the more common ones like shipping to a distribution center, shipping to a store, drop shipping direct to consumer, but also the less common distribution models like special order programs that we see in the home improvement chains, where you have your product at a kiosk and they can, customize the order to their exacting requirements. But also, container import direct, where a retailer takes title of goods at the port, as well as even vendor managed inventory. So ultimately, we provide that flexibility, if you will, through a series of configuration rules that you can define to handle unique distribution requirements. And as I mentioned before, Highjump does offer a full suite of supply chain solutions, which our GP connector and our commerce network is pre-integrated with. And information across these applications ultimately needs to be integrated and synced with Dynamics GP, but as I mentioned before, you also have to share that information with supply chain partners, so inventory availability, item attributes, delivery status, and so on. And TrueCommerce also offers the ability to sync the information not only with our own Highjump supply chain solutions, but also with third-party applications. So we offer some open APIs that we expose that allow us to sync data with other key business systems like e-commerce platforms, shipping solutions, as well as warehouse management solutions. And again, as we discussed earlier, we've seen a major shift to the cloud for Dynamics GP users. I think as organizations, if you're thinking about moving to the cloud, definitely make sure that that all of your key technology components can be moved easily, as well as upgraded easily in the future. And TrueCommerce, we've worked with leading cloud hosting providers across the Dynamics community, one to test and validate our solution with their hosting technology, and ultimately to make sure that as our customers move to those hosting providers, that they're not going to have that friction, if you will, in their upgrade process. And we've actually seen several hundred of our customers that have now hosted their GP deployment, and don't require that your hosting provider provision additional servers to host your application. Again, our integration component sits directly within the hosted GP instance. Okay, so to wrap up here, I'm going to highlight just a few things that are unique about TrueCommerce. And first and foremost, there's multiple good EDI provider options that are available for GP users. We're certainly not the only option out there. Some providers offer a very simple cloud-based solution, but they may lack some of the depth and expertise when it comes to GP. Other providers offer depth of integration with GP, but they maybe don't offer that simple cloud-based managed services approach that can scale, very cost effectively. So, when you select a provider, it's important that you select a provider that will be, able to support your current needs, but also can scale with you as your organization evolves. But also think about your internal skill set. If you prefer to manage it yourself and you have that skill set today, a software solution or do-it-yourself middleware component might be your best fit. But if you prefer to outsource things that are not core competencies, then a managed services provider is probably the best fit for your organization. So, at TrueCommerce, we offer a unique combination of a cloud-based managed services approach to managing your trading partner mapping and connectivity with a deeply integrated connector and depth and expertise around Dynamics GP, and it's all from one provider. And to summarize, TrueCommerce offers a highly scalable and simple approach. It includes our team managing trading partner maps and connectivity. We've pre-integrated with over 12,000 different trading partners. We support the commonly used EDI standards here in North America, and as your business expands globally, we also support those global standards. And we can also support XML, which we see as an emerging data format that's being used especially with online marketplaces. And as far as our integration, our GP integration offers, really a turnkey solution. It's deeply integrated with GP. We cover off over 25 different standard integrations as well as some other that are custom that can be added as well for less common transactions. So we integrate with the sales order processing, the purchase order processing, and as well as other documents that you may exchange if you're leveraging a 3PL or integrating with transportation providers. And quite frankly, our approach, it helps eliminate unnecessary customization because we offer a rich set of configurable business rules. And as we implement, our implementation team helps to guide you through, the settings to make sure you optimize the EDI workflow and automate as much as possible versus being in a position where you have to perform manual steps and you have to spot check transactions. And our approach requires minimal technical footprint to implement, and it requires minimal technical footprint to manage on an ongoing basis. And lastly, we have a team of folks that are certainly Dynamics GP experts across our development, our implementation, and our support teams. Okay, so now that I've covered off an introduction to TrueCommerce, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to transition over to Mr. Steve Norris. And Steve's going to cover off just a quick overview of the workflow that he's going to spotlight as part of his solution overview.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve Norris. I am TrueCommerce's Director of Dynamic Solutions Architecture. And before we hopped into the product overview, I wanted to just discuss quickly what we would be covering during our time today. We'll start by working through really a customer-side workflow. So we'll start with an order that's coming in from a Walmart or an Amazon to create a sales order in Dynamics GP. We'll respond to that with our purchase order acknowledgement, which is going to be that acknowledgement that is going to be sent that has item level detail, being able to respond back to somebody like an Amazon to let them know when items were accepted, when items are back ordered, when shipping dates change. Those type of things are going to be what's going to be able to be reflected back on the purchase order acknowledgement. We'll follow that up with going through and building out our shipment so we can send our advanced shipping notice, and we'll close out that process by sending an invoice back to the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world. And we'll then take that one step further, and we'll be able to receive the payment information and the cash receipt information back from Amazon or Walmart or any of the trading partners that you may be working with today to be able to create the cash receipts and the remittance payments that are associated with that. So I will go ahead now and I'll share my Dynamics GP environment so that you guys can see it and we can walk through the steps that we'll be following. So as Mike had mentioned earlier on, we are a holistically embedded solution in Dynamics GP. So you'll see our modules right alongside the areas of Dynamics GP you're familiar with today, where you'd go in to enter a purchase order, you'd go in to enter a sales order. We can access the EDI areas directly from there. We are certified for Microsoft Dynamic product, which means that not only has our solution passed the rigorous testing cycles that are required by Microsoft, but also our employees have been certified in Microsoft Dynamics GP. So not only are we experts in the EDI portion of the area, but you could be working with folks that are certified for Microsoft Dynamics as well, whether that's in sales order processing, purchase order processing, inventory control, finance, things along those lines. We are programmed in Dexterity, which is the same programming language that Dynamics GP uses. And note that the solution we're showing you today only works in Dynamics GP. So we'll be focusing on that today. The first area that I like to take folks and we take a look at is really where we can go and tell the system that there is a customer in GP that we want to be able to do EDI with and configure the different business rules for those customers. This is where you're going to see really our depth of integration. So if we use our example of working with Walmart, we can go in and we can see that we've set up a Walmart EDI customer, and we said that that customer ID in GP we want to do EDI with. You'll notice that we have a lot of options here. Whether we want to go in and say when an order comes in for Walmart, which GP batch do I want it to go into, or do I want to be able to dynamically create a batch, maybe using the dates, maybe using a prefix and suffix so I can group like transactions together so I can make my life easier down the line as I'm transferring, orders to invoices, as I'm going through maybe some of my fulfillment steps. I can start using more logical batching there. If I wanted to group things together by sales channel, I could do that. If there's, if I wanted to group drop ship orders, together they go to a consumer versus things that I would ship to a DC. We have all those logical batching concepts that allow you to really be able to maximize your investment and streamline some of the efficiencies, that you can gain through using batching within Dynamics GP. Along the lines of being able to go in and tell the system what price do you want to use. Do you want to use the price that your customer sends over to you on the EDI document? Or do you want to use the price that's set up in GP? And do you want to know if they're different? More specifically, as we dig in a little deeper into that price scenario, we can go in and tell the system, what do we want to do if those prices are different? So for instance, within our product, we have the concept of what we call errors and warnings. An error is going to be a scenario that we've worked with you to configure to be able to say that we don't want to allow a transaction into or out of Dynamics GP until the problem is resolved. We're going to let the user know that event has happened in a couple different ways. We can have that pop up on the screen. We can have it saved to a file, spooled directly to a printer, kind of any combination of those. But most typically, our customers are not in our product touching every single document every day. They're not going in and picking individual orders and processing them in. Most of them will elect to instead manage things by exception. So what they'll do is they'll set up schedules within our product to say, go ahead and process orders maybe every 15 minutes. Go ahead and send my advanced ship notices out every 5 minutes. Maybe I want to send my invoices after I'm done batch posting at the end of the day or on a specific schedule. You will go ahead and we'll be working with you to get that set up. And for those customers, generally they prefer to get that error report via email, so that they only have to worry about reviewing those transactions where there's exceptions versus having to touch each individual transaction as it flows through the system. The warning concept is simply going to be that we want a heads up that the event has occurred. We're still going to allow that transaction into or out of Dynamics GP. A lot of times we see that around price conflict checking. Maybe we want to know that the order was ordered with the wrong price so somebody in customer service can follow up, or you can send a purchase order acknowledgement back to let them know they've ordered it with the wrong price. But we still maybe want to allow that into Dynamics GP so we have visibility to the order, so that we have visibility into the inventory requirements for it, things along those lines. We'll be working with you during our business process review to help you configure these so you don't have to worry about going in here and setting these up yourself. You don't even have to go in and change them. Again, generally you're not in here on a day-to-day basis. If we go and look at that price conflict option in more granular detail, we can also go in and say, is there an acceptable variance? So for instance, is there a specific scenario where I want to say, if this is off by a fraction of a penny or a fraction of a percent, maybe it's not worth me contesting. Maybe there's a vendor agreement I have that says it's okay that they're off by a little bit, or maybe I've done some time and motion studies to understand what the opportunity cost is of going back and combating somebody like Walmart over something that they ordered that was off by a fraction of a cent. As we go through here, you're going to see that we have really, our 20-plus years of experience in Dynamics GP is shining through here with our depth of integration and our level of flexibility and configurable business rules. So we can go through, really the key takeaway here is that, we've built these business rules so that somebody could come in if they want to, and if your vendor, your vendor-customer relationship changes with a trading partner, you actually could come in here and make a change, and you don't have to know those intimate knowledge. You don't have to have that intimate knowledge of what the original EDI document looked like, what the original XML document looked like, anything along those lines. So really, you can come in here with a basic knowledge of Dynamics GP and business terminology and make a change if you needed to. The next thing that I'll take you through is I'll show you some of these transactions processing. If I was to show you a day in the life of our normal customer, there wouldn't be much to show here. I would have my scheduled events running, and when my scheduled events run, I would be receiving an email to let me know what those errors and warnings were that I've received, and I would also be being able to elect in to receive an email that tells me exactly which transactions have processed successfully. But for the sake of the presentation today, I'll walk you through some of those manual workflow steps so that you can see them. But note that everything that I'm showing you today can be automated in its entirety. So if we went through the workflow that we discussed previously, the first scenario here is we're going to be getting an order. We can get that from Walmart, we can get it from Amazon, we can get it from a Home Depot, we can get it from any customer that would send you an EDI order, or they'd send you an XML order. We can take that content, we can go in and process those orders into Dynamics GP. So you'll see that these transactions have processed in. See, it's completed importing 2 of those orders. I've got 0 errors, so they processed in okay. There's a couple warnings. So I actually can go in and I can take a look and see what those warnings were on those orders. And those were the ones that we configured there over on the screen that I showed you previously. So I got some items that Walmart ordered with the wrong price. I got a couple items in GP that aren't assigned to a default site. And oh, by the way, Walmart is way over the credit limit. I can go in and I can take a look at those orders. So I can pop over here and I can go in and I can take a look at those sales orders within Dynamics GP. So we're looking at just our standard Dynamics GP sales order window right now. And you'll see that this got entered in exactly as it was ordered. Couple things that you'll note from within here. One thing you'll see is I have the capabilities to toggle on or off whether or not I want these warnings actually to populate in the document notes field. What's really nice about that is that follows the transaction through Dynamics GP. So if you wanted to be able to see that information later on in the cycle, it's attached to the order, which then flows through to the back order or the invoice. So you have all that content available to you. The other thing that you're going to notice here is that we've added some companion tables to the sales table and sales line tables in Dynamics GP to store the EDI information that was sent over on the original transaction. It's important for a couple different reasons. One, Dynamics GP doesn't have a native landing spot for some of these pieces of data, like department number, manufacturing code, vendor ID, appointment numbers, things along those lines Microsoft Dynamics GP doesn't have a storage area for. Certainly, you could put this data and we can put it into the user-defined fields that are in GP, but you know from your experience with Dynamics GP that there's not very many of those fields. So rather than have us take up that precious space that you may have, we store this in our own table so that we can turn that information back around on the invoice, on the ASN, so we can print them on the labels, on the purchase order acknowledgments, things along those lines. The other reason we store this information at both a header and a line level is so that we can report back on things like the purchase order acknowledgement when the customers ordered with the wrong price, or there was a quantity change. Maybe they ordered outside of a pack quantity. We can now allow you to provide better information and more substantive and quality information back to your trading partners. We can take this transaction, we would be able to go in, and we can go in and send out our purchase order acknowledgments for it. If we wanted to go ahead and do that manually, we could. Again, we can set up schedules there to do that so you're not in here touching every single transaction. And then we can go in and we can build out our ASN content. So we actually have the ability within our module that we can go in and we can pull up and we can build out different orders and shipments. So I can actually go in, select the order that I've imported, and I can build out a shipment for that. Now, for some of you guys, you may be using a data collection utility for GP that's gathering the carton and item detail. Some of you may be using a WMS solution that gathers that carton item information. For those of you using that, we do have an API that allows you to pass this information so that you don't have to worry about duplicate keying what items are in which carton, maybe which cartons are on which pallet. We also allow you to be able to print out the labels as part of that process. So if you have GS1 or UCC 128 label requirements, those are all taken care of as part of our solution. So note that you can go in and build this out through our interface if you're not using a pack-out solution today, but if you're using one of the Highjump solutions, we are pre-integrated with those, or if you're using another solution on the market that's gathering the same information, we have an API that data can be passed to us with so that you don't have to worry about duplicate data entry. Final step really in me being able to work with my customers is being able to go ahead and send down my invoice. So as soon as that document is transferred to an invoice, or based on what you opt into, whether you want to do it from a posted invoice, you could do that as well, and we can send out those transactions manually, or we would set up schedules generally to go ahead and do that, whether you wanted to send it every 5 minutes, every hour, a couple times a day, or maybe after your batch posting runs at the end of the day, or maybe you want to run it first thing in the morning. We can do any of that. Also can come in here and select which transactions you want to send manually if you wanted to and send those on down. Whether that's from an open invoice or that's from a posted invoice, it doesn't really matter to us. It's configurable based on how you'd like to use it. The last area is really going to be able to come in and be able to process your remittance information. So this is going to have check numbers and invoice numbers and payment amounts. It's going to have information, it's going to have information for your cash receipts. So we're going to be able to take those remittance advices, and if we're talking in EDI lingo, we're talking about your 820 transaction, which is your remittance advice. We do have the ability to bring that transaction in as a cash receipt, and we're able to track all of the different chargeback items that are associated with it. So alongside the cash receipts within Dynamics GP, we can actually have created a secondary table that allows you to track, allows you actually to go in and track all of the different breakouts of the different chargebacks that you have. The other nice thing about this is not only is it entering the cash receipts, but if you get the invoice numbers back from your trading partner, we can actually complete the matching of the receipts to the invoices, which is generally a pretty arduous process for customers that we've helped, where they're getting, they may be getting back 820s from somebody like Walmart that says, here's 1,000 checks against 2,000 different invoices, and then somebody has to generally go in. What they would do previous to implementing our integration is they'd go in and apply that payment to many different invoices, one by one. With our solution, as long as they send over the invoice number or a method of determining the invoice number, maybe that's the customer PO number, we actually can go ahead and we can auto-apply that information for you so that gets rid of that manual effort, and really the only thing left for you to do is to post the transaction. Today we really focused on the customer side experience, doing EDI with your customers. Note that we're not limited to that. So if there are scenarios where you want to be able to do EDI with your suppliers, or if you have a need to be able to do EDI with a third-party logistics company or a remote warehouse, we do have that functionality that's available to you as well. We'd be more than happy to discuss that with you on an individual basis, but at this point in time, I'll actually pass control back over to Mike Gross so that we can finish up and make sure that we have some additional time for questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Steve. Very nicely done. So, Jason, at this point, I think we've covered all the material that we'd like to cover for today. So, we'd like to open it up for any questions from the group.
All right, excellent, Mike. And yeah, just to remind everyone on the line, please do use the Q&A block you see to the right of the main presentation window to add your questions at this point, and we will start getting to those now. So, first question, my company utilizes a WMS that's not a Highjump WMS solution. Can you integrate with third-party WMS solutions?
Yeah, this is Mike. I'll cover that one. So, yeah, I think Steve just talked to that in a little bit of detail just a moment ago. But ultimately, if you're leveraging a third-party WMS solution, there's several of them out there. To fulfill orders, you're capturing the package level detail that's going to be required if you're selling to a retailer to generate GS1 labels and ASNs as they require them. So we have an API that we expose that fundamentally the WMS solution injects those records into our staging table, which triggers the creation of an ASN, and we manage that process of formatting it to the retailers from retailer-specific requirements and delivering it to them. So yeah, that's absolutely not a problem at all.
Okay, is your product available for GP 2016?
Yes, yeah, available for the most recent version of Microsoft Dynamics GP.
All right, great. Someone writes, I use the vSync solution today, which is now part of TrueCommerce. What options are available to me?
That's a great question. So we actually, about a year and a half ago, merged together what was Excelos and Highjump, and part of the Excelos organization was the vSync product line. And vSync, the way that we approached EDI was some of the components were managed on-premise with some on-premise tools. And we still support those. We still support those customers and continue to invest in the solutions they're leveraging. But we now, as technologies advance, we really on a go-forward basis, we see more and more of our customers, preferring to leverage our managed services approach. So if any of our vSync customers, are interested in that model, we certainly have a path to help you, migrate to the managed services approach, but you don't have to make any changes. We still fully support the solution that we're leveraging today, and the fundamental thing that would change would just be kind of where we manage the connectivity and mapping component with free trading partners.
All right, we have one more question in the queue right now. I want to make a final call for questions and also remind folks that we do have a very brief survey that should pop up after the event, and we really value you taking another 15 or 20 seconds and just giving us a little extra feedback. I know our speakers always appreciate it, and we like to know how your experience has been at our online events like this. Next question, does your solution support 846 documents?
Yeah, and just for those that are maybe not EDI literate, the 846 transaction is an inventory report, and it's used a lot more frequently now with omni-channel commerce. If you are a supplier to an online marketplace or retailer that's having you drop ship direct to their customers and the order originates on their website, well, they're going to ask you as a supplier to provide them with inventory feeds that advises them of your availability. And ultimately, they need that information so that they can update the status of your item on their web store. So yes, we can certainly support that. I'm not sure if we covered that off in enough detail in the overview. We're happy to show that to you in more detail, but ultimately you set up an inquiry once, you save it, and then you schedule it to run, and it releases out all the inventory availability information based on the retailer's specific recurrence schedule, which sometimes is as much as every hour or once a day. But yeah, we certainly support that. Great question.
All right, we appear to be at the end of our question queue, so we'll start wrapping up now. Well, First, Mike, Steve, thank you very much for taking the time to present for our audience today.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Jason, again for hosting us.
Excellent. It was our pleasure, and thanks to everyone in the audience for your time and your attention today and the questions. We have recorded today's event. We'll be making that available soon. With that, we will conclude today's event. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.